Welcome, everybody, to the Stoned On Sports Podcast. My name is Matt. Really happy to be here with you. Want to give a shout out to all our listeners and subscribers, and both of you that check us out on Spotify. We really appreciate it and have a great time bringing you this high quality content. Also, want to say thanks to Rocky's Pizza of Swartz Creek, Michigan. Let's get them up there on the screen. They're our great sponsor. Brandon's down there slinging pies, making nachos of the pulled pork variety, and they are to die for. As always, I'm joined by American Alpha here, Kyle and Ramey. Ramey, we are on to week 2 of the NFL season, and we've got a couple big spreads on the board. We've got the Bills minus 9.5 against Las Vegas and the Cowboys minus 9 against the Jets. If you had to choose to bet one of those games, which one would you take?
I think I'd go Cowboys minus 9 against the Jets. It just seems like that with Dallas's defense and the lack of Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson being the quarterback for the Jets, I just don't see the Jets putting up a lot of points. So I don't think the Cowboys are going to score a ton because of the Jets defense being so good. But I could see it being like a 24-6 type game where that's the much safer bet. And I need to see the Bills play well. Granted, again, the Jets defense is pretty solid, but Josh Allen did not look good on Monday night. So I think I'd wait a week before betting on the Bills with that big of a spread, even if it's against the Raiders. What about you? What do you think?
I agree. The Jets offense is going to be trash with Zach Wilson at the controls. Garrett Wilson, and I think he played 8 or 9 games with him last year and put up 2 wide receiver 1 worthy games out of that group. And in not one of those games did he ever go over 10 targets. He had one 100-yard game, scored a couple touchdowns. Zach Wilson is not it. Robert Saleh said what he needed to say in the media because he's not just going to throw him under the bus and come on there and just say, oh my God, we're screwed. Yeah, there's no reason to even come to the stadium. Sorry about that. We'll try and get him next year. Like, that's just not going to happen. They'll bring in a veteran quarterback. I'm sure they were on the phone to people at halftime during the game. If it was me, I'd try and bring back Joe Flacco. He's somebody who he knows the offense there. He's familiar with the personnel. The team's familiar with him, and he's shown that he can operate that offense at a medium to high level. But just given the talent there, especially on the defensive side of the ball, a couple high quality running backs, some decent receivers, really you need somebody to come in there and just not screw it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
agreed.
I know we're on, Kyle, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to say real quick, I know we're on to week 2, but we did get to talk about this on Tuesday. Robert Saleh looked like a guy that had just watched his dog get hit by a car during that first half. Like, you could see it on his face that he was just like, oh no, not again.
Yep.
Yeah. So much anticipation and build up just for it to end after 4 snaps. It sucks. Yeah, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but yeah, I had to feel for him. Man, the Jets. Tough luck.
Yeah.
Tough luck.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I would probably pick the Cowboys as well. I'm not touching the Bills for a minute either until they figure something out there. But I mean, it's not like they're going to bench Josh Allen. He just needs to get, much better in his decision-making skills and quit putting the ball out there for, anyone to grab.
Right. Yeah.
Tonight's game, though, it's coming up here. About kickoff's about an hour and 15 minutes. Minnesota Vikings at the Eagles. If you remember, they played last season in week 2 as well, but it was on Monday Night Football. And Philadelphia took them to town. I think it was 24-7, something like that. Hurts threw for a touchdown, ran for 2, threw for over 300 yards. And Kirk Cousins, I believe, had 3 picks. Dalvin Cook was inefficient. He's not there this year, but I expect something similar to happen. Philadelphia's offense didn't look so good in New England, but that tends to happen against Bill Belichick-led defenses. I think they're going to take care of business tonight. The Vikings are going to go down 0-2 in the NFC North, which makes me happy because the Lions are going to win this weekend.
I think so too, but because both the Vikings and the Eagles didn't look stellar on offense coming out of week 1 and it being a short week, I could see this kind of being a backdoor cover type of game where the Vikings end up losing by 3. I think the spread's 6, right? As of a few minutes
6.
ago when I looked. So I think the Eagles are going to win, but I could kind of see the Vikings kind of sneaking in that back door towards the end of the game to cover last minute.
The Vikings couldn't even take care of business against Tampa Bay at home. Like they looked, they had some moments. I mean, they did score and stuff, but I think Philadelphia's back. They're at home. Good place to play. The weather's going to be good. No crap weather out in New England. I think they're going to take care of business. I don't think it'll be a huge blowout. I'll say, I don't know, 31-14 or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty big blowout, 17 points.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay, a couple touchdowns, 3 scores, whatever. A blowout, I'm thinking, some college scores like 7.
It'll be close. 3 scores, probably.
I don't think Philly's going to put up 80 by any means.
No, I don't believe they will either. Since it'll be their third string out there playing, and they ain't gonna score no points. But Thursday Night Football, I think it's on Prime already this week now. Again, right? Like exclusively
on every week. Yeah. Yep. And I mean, to your point, the Vikings defense is not the Patriots defense. So I think Hurts will get on track, and I'm really hoping he scores a touchdown tonight.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping that Hawkinson scores a touchdown, specifically the first one, because I am a walking, talking lesson that when you are placing a wager, you should pay attention to what you're actually betting on. Last week, the Patriots had an absolutely perfect game plan for the Eagles, and teams don't tend to score a whole lot of points when they go up to New England. Credit to Philly for getting the dub and getting out of there. The total tonight's at 49. I think it'll go under that. I think Philly will cover the spread. I think they win by a touchdown. They've got some players out on defense, so it's going to present some opportunity there for the Vikings. I think this could be a Jordan Addison game where he gets quite a few targets with Jefferson drawing so much attention, and they've got some folks banged up in the secondary as well on the Philly defense. I think it'll be a good game, though. It'll be fun to watch. There's going to be some fantasy scoring there. I'm not looking for much out of Madison this week, because Jalen Carter is just a damn beast and disruptor in the middle. But the Vikings, they'll keep it close.
Yeah. Surprisingly, Carter was number 2 for defensive tackles and pass rush win rate. God, I always hate saying that word. It's always tough to say. He balled out as his debut game last week. So
yeah, I think.
I mean, he's a good player.
If he hadn't had his issues in the right in the offseason, I think he would have been the number 1 pick overall.
Yeah. Since I guess we were talking about New England there just a minute, I'm going to shift over to that game. They got Miami coming to town in New England. Miami looked, the best team in the league last year, at least quarterback and wide receiver. Jesus. Crazy amount of offense. Miami's -3 on the road. Let's see. Total's at 46.5 right now through Caesars. I don't know. Miami was a 3-point underdog and went to the Chargers and won. Now they're a favorite, but again, it is New England.
I know we were talking before we went live. Tua's 4-0 against Belichick and the Patriots. So I think they go up there and win. I think it'll be a close game. The Patriots aren't going to do Chargers things. So I think it'll obviously be, understatement of the century. It'll be lower scoring than it was last week for the Dolphins. I don't think they're going to put up 36, but I see them going up and winning a close game.
Yeah, the Patriots are 12-2 in their last 14 home games against the Dolphins. So definitely need to get that record skewed. The Dolphins were horrible there in that stretch, and Tom Brady was there winning all the games. So looking forward.
Fire up your Ramondre Stevensons this week.
Yeah. Yep.
Just the way that the Dolphins got torched on the ground last week. And Austin Eckler, he's going to get his, but Joshua Kelly coming out of nowhere, putting balls on chins. I think Zeke is going to be a viable flex play this week. Ramondre, I view him as a low end wide receiver one. The Dolphins, at least last year, they put up 20 and 21 points in their games against New England. So, to your point earlier, it's not like they're going to go up there and just light the world on fire, scoring, all kinds of
There
points.
it is.
Yeah.
There it is. That was intentional. For the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill and Waddle, they're must plays. Kendrick Bourne got some love last week. I know he's been a hot waiver wire pickup.
Yeah.
Juju
quiet. You didn't hear much about it. It was quiet. Had 11 damn targets.
Yeah.
Looked good.
And he and Mac Jones had shown in the past that they have some chemistry. They brought in Juju. They're not really using him a whole lot. And now you're starting to hear rumblings coming out of Foxborough that, his knee is ready to explode and he's fifth in the pecking order viewed internally. And that begs the point, like, why did you sign him if you could have re-signed Jacoby Myers for pretty much the same thing? But I guess Jacoby was just ready to get out of New England, and hey, it is what it is. Mac Jones, I'm not starting unless it's an absolute emergency. He's fine in a super flex, I guess, if you have to, but I'm not high-fiving people for putting him in my starting lineup.
And just because they're playing in New England and against Bill Belichick, I mean, you don't have anybody better than Tua and Hill. You're starting them. I mean, nobody's not starting them. I'm starting Waddle too.
Right.
Fuck it. But
Yeah.
it could be tough going. Temper your expectations on them, or Tyreek could light them up. Who knows?
I think it'll be somewhere in between.
Guy's got a goal of getting 2,000 yards this year.
He's off to a hell of a start.
Sure is.
I could see Tua going up there. He's not going to throw for 460 like he did last week, but I could see him putting up 250, 260 yards and a couple TEDs, and Tyreek pushing 100 yards receiving. But again, Belichick's going to do Belichick things, and he likes to take away your best weapon, as they always used to say. Like that's some kind of
you can scheme it, but he's just so damn fast that if you hit him in stride, you better wrap his ass up. Last year, he didn't do all that great against New England. I think he combined for like 130 total yards.
Games.
Right.
Was out for games too,
but still, I mean, New England's always going to be a well-coached and disciplined defense, and that's going to make things tough on whoever they play.
Yeah, I agree. Anything more on that, fellas?
No, I'm good.
13.
Should be a good game.
Yeah, I think so. I think it
kind of contrasting styles there, so should be a fun watch.
It's still, fall football in New England. Hell yeah.
Foliage.
Yeah, foliage. Let's stay in the AFC. I like that.
Did you say foliage?
You sure did.
Foliage. Yeah.
Foliage.
The road.
Foliage is when all the leaves are gone. It's time to get the Christmas tree out.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Steelers, Browns, Monday Night Football. There's a couple Monday Night Football games. Who's the other one?
New Orleans at Carolina. Real barn burner.
Thank you. A little NFC South matchup. But we're going to say in the AFC North that, Jesus, that's always a tough division. Browns are, -2.5, road favorites. 25. Let's see. What do we got here? Browns rejoined in 1999 in the NFL. They've been on the road to Pittsburgh 25 times. They've been a road favorite once. They're going to win this game. They're going to win this game. I think Jim Schwartz is going to completely, fuck up the Steelers' offense. They didn't look too sharp last week. For moments they did, but not overall. I mean, he just made the Bengals offense look like passing offense look like shit. Granted, there was the weather factor, but I got definitely the Steelers getting that one. Or I'm sorry, the Browns getting that one. Jesus.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think they cover. What is it? 2.5 points? 3 points?
Yeah.
Okay.
-2.5.
Yeah. Yeah, the over-under's pushing what, close to 39, 38 and a half.
38 and a half. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Man, the way that Browns defense looked, I might be tempted to tickle the under there on Monday
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
They're on par with San Francisco, I'd say.
Yeah.
They were just excellent all around.
Yeah. Their secondary looked really good. And I mean, it's not like Kenny Pickett's going to light the world on fire, but
They're going to be without Deontay Johnson as well for
Mhm.
probably the next month.
Yeah.
That's a tough blow. A lot of
It is.
big target share for them.
Give that to
Somebody's
George
going to have-
Pickens.
Yeah, well, they're probably going to split it between some other guys, but I don't know. I think there was a little Instagram drama with Pickett and Pickens. Pickens, I think, liked some comment about Pickett not being able to get the ball to him, or that might not be exactly it. Ramey might know more about it.
I thought you were
But
going
I'm
to talk
not
about I thought you were going to
Go
talk about the Antonio Brown post.
No. Oh, about him saying, "Oh, they need a wide receiver." Yeah.
Well, hear
I
me
mean,
out. Hear me out.
Yeah. No. And then so that's the thing. Yeah. AB, kind of blew up the locker room there. And now you're like, oh God, please Pickens, don't be that
AB blew up a few locker rooms.
guy. Yeah,
he did.
that's true. Ripped off his shirt and quit in the
A
middle.
few hotel rooms.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I mean, look, Pickens, you're a second-year guy. You had a good, solid rookie season. Shut up and play ball. Get open, and they'll get it to you, hopefully. I mean, Kenny Pickett showed last week he's no Brock Purdy. At least given the talent around him. That was rough. I think Chubb is going to eat again. I think Amari Cooper will push for 100 and a touchdown. Elijah Moore will probably get some love. Maybe we see something out of Njoku as well.
I was going to say that. I think he could have a good game on Monday night. It just Watson didn't look great last week, and I think
Nobody did, and the weather was awful.
I just feel like if it's going to be that kind of game where Pittsburgh isn't scoring a lot, I could see you just riding Chubb and throwing to Njoku. But I agree with you. I think Amari Cooper's going to have a nice game as well. He's going to have a really good year.
I think so. And Pittsburgh abandoned the run last week too. Just completely.
$32 on him. 36. I'm sorry.
$36 Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Yep. $36.
$10 Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Najee Harris had 6 carries last week. They can't have a repeat of that.
No.
Kenny Pickett is not somebody who can put the team on his back and lead them to a victory. He needs a lot of help. And without Deontay Johnson, there isn't the help there that he needs. It's going to be a rough start for Pittsburgh. It's going to be a rough start for Pickett. I think Trubisky is behind him, which it's not like that's an upgrade. He's got more experience, but that's it. Pittsburgh is going to be 0-2 after this week.
Yeah, they will be. And the Browns will be 2-0, of course. And they have not started 2-0 since anybody know when? Well,
the last time
the Browns of all time.
1994.
91.
93, Matt. I know where you were going with that. Bill Belichick was there. They actually started the season 3-0 and then famously went like 7-9 the rest of the way and missed the playoffs. And I think he got canned after that.
That would be 19 games.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm saying. That'd be 19 games. Somebody that said like a week ago, I'm not good at math. Sure added that up pretty fucking fast. You're still sitting here with my.
Well, I can do 7 + 3 + 9.
Yep.
Now that today's math lesson is over, let's talk about the Lions and Seahawks. Lions are favored by 5. We got a total of 47 there. Jared Goff is elite in a dome. He's at home.
Yeah.
ARSB is going to run wild. He's a top 5 receiver for me this week. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be more involved in the offense. I think Monty is going to eat. I love this game. I think there's going to be plenty of offense in this game, and Seattle is not as bad as they looked last week. I think there's definitely room for improvement there as well. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
It certainly will. I think ARSB is going to have a huge one, and Monty is going to eat. They're going to run the ball a lot. I think they'll be up a lot. You might see some Craig Reynolds, third stringer, out there taking a bunch of snaps in the second half. I think it's going to be a. We got a revenge game here from last year. They beat us. I think it was in October, like 48-45. Crushed my soul.
That's the reason why you guys didn't make the playoffs.
Right. Key matchup too is both of their tackles are out. Offensive tackles are out in Seattle. I think that Detroit pass rush is gonna finally eat. They did so well last week, but they didn't sack Mahomes. They were so close a few times. I think this time they get at least 2 or 3 sacks this game.
Well, I'm gonna take off your Honolulu blue colored glasses, and because of the big win in Kansas City and the fact that the Seahawks underachieved on Sunday, I think the Lions win. I'm not going to go that crazy, but I think the Seahawks cover the 5. I think it's a close game. I think they hang in there. I think they played much better than they did last week, and I think the Lions have a little bit of a letdown because everybody's been blowing smoke up their ass all week after that win in Kansas City, except for Mike Tirico. I think they win at home because of the reasons you guys already said, Goff being good in a dome, the 2 tackles being out. But I think the Seahawks will play much better, and I think it'll be a field goal game.
They ain't even going to be able to fucking hear. That fucking Ford Field's going to be so loud. They're not going to be able to hear themselves. They're going to be like seeing everybody in blue ski masks. They're not going to fucking know what to do.
There's a first time for everything.
Gino gets picked off twice this game, or he turns the ball over twice. I don't know if they're picks or lost fumbles, but he turns the ball over twice.
Yeah. Okay. Josh Reynolds is a sneaky play in this game. If you're looking for an injury replacement, I think he's going to end up as a low end wide receiver too this week. I think he'll match last week's yardage at 80 yards, and I think he'll find the end zone as well.
I love it. Love it. It's going to be great. ARSB is going to eat too.
Yes, he is.
I'm happy for you guys.
Are you?
It's great.
Yeah,
I mean, if this was 10 years ago, I'd be happy for you too, Ramey. But it's now, and your team's on the, going to be on the rise here, and they got their franchise guy now who looked great last week. Houston, right?
Yeah, I don't think they go down there and win. They were a 1-point favorite when the week started. I think they're a 1-point underdog now. Houston's a 1-point favorite. Houston did a really good job of containing Lamar Jackson last week. And even though that they kind of ran away with it, I think the final score was 25-9. But Lamar Jackson and Anthony Richardson have pretty similar skill sets. Granted, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, but I think they're going to be able to contain the run game with Richardson, especially if the Colts can't generate any kind of other run game with their running backs. I just don't think that the Colts are going to go to Houston and win. Now, I think when Houston comes back up to Indy, I think that's a game that the Colts could possibly squeak out, but I just don't think it's in the cards for them this weekend. I don't think they have enough talent on the team. So we don't have to talk a whole lot about it. I'm not going to.
I do think that game goes over the total of 40. You've got 2 teams. The Colts, Anthony Richardson is proving to be a weapon. And even if he peppers the shit out of Pittman with targets, like there's an opportunity to score there. I think Zach Moss is going to be back this week. He will be. Yeah. Deion Jackson is trash. You might as well just cut him. He's nothing. But you've got 2 teams with some subpar defenses. I know Lamar Jackson was held in check last week. I think a lot of that has to do with Lamar Jackson and his limitations, which this new offense is going to highlight. I would not be surprised if, this total ended up somewhere around, 24-21, something like that, close to 45 points.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Zach Moss will be back. And good thing for him is he can't do much worse than what they did last week, averaging 1.6 yards a carry with their running backs. So Anthony Richardson was their rushing attack, and it's not sustainable, but
it'll be like that until JT gets back.
Yeah. 3 more weeks.
3
or more.
weeks.
We'll see.
One of my fantasy teams cannot wait.
Uh,
Hey, I'm just curious, real quick. And I know we're done talking about the Lions game. I'm curious what kind of trade value in fantasy you guys would put on Geno Smith.
Not much.
well, I wouldn't give up Trevor Lawrence for him, that's for sure.
No.
Just curious.
Or Justin Fields. Even if he did
think-
look bad last week,
I think if I were trying to trade Geno, I'd probably be looking at the waiver wire rather than trying to get any kind of significant return for him.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I would. I don't know who you'd trade for him. I mean, a good handcuff running back or something, maybe like an Elijah Mitchell or something. I'd consider that closer.
I think that'd be fair.
In fantasy, and myself in the past have been guilty of this. People overvalue their own players, and
for sure,
it's just something that people got to understand.
I think too, if I had Geno and I had the ability to do this, I think I'd look at the waiver wire for a good matchup this week, and I wouldn't sell on Geno for the year just yet. I think that there's some opportunities to play him when the matchups are favorable, particularly against teams like the Cardinals. Yeah. So I wouldn't sell on him just yet.
Yeah, and you're selling low right now too.
Absolutely.
He's a matchup play. I've got a tandem of Jared Goff and Daniel Jones in a league, and I'm going to play matchups. And my dumbass played Daniel Jones, but was still fortunate enough to win. Anyways, moving along. Who do we want to talk about next? The Chiefs and Jaguars looks interesting.
Yeah, that was the next game I was gonna definitely say. Chiefs -3 on the road. I got the total is 51.5. It's been pretty much right around there. They met last year in the playoffs. Kansas City won that game 27-20. That's the one where Mahomes got hurt, but ended up coming back. I think Henny had like a 98-yard drive or something at the end of the first half or something like that. But big question in this game: is Travis Kelce going to play? He's questionable. He's listed questionable today for or as a limited participant today. Is he going to play?
I think so. I think he'll play. I think between him and I think Chris Jones will play. I think it'll be limited with Chris Jones. Probably limited with Kelce too, but you'd rather have him for limited snaps than no snaps at all.
Yeah, I think Chris Jones will definitely play. He might not play a ton, but he'll be out
there. For those people out there who need to hear it, if you have Travis Kelce and he's playing, you start him. There's no debate. Even if he's out there for 35 snaps, you want him out there because even on 35 snaps, the man might get 10 targets.
Yeah,
considering how that wide receiver core is.
And they need
more.
Yeah, this is a start everybody game. If you've got receivers, and I'm curious now, just given how the target share went last week, are you starting Zay Jones or are you starting Christian Kirk? Who would you rather run out there?
Still Zay Jones.
Yeah, I think so too.
If you look at their snap share through the preseason games, it was the same stuff. Kirk was always at the bottom. I'd roll with Zay Jones right off that. They've just been staying that way, and it's been working so far through week 1.
Yeah, they didn't run as much 11 personnel last week as I thought they would. And when there's only 2 receivers out there, Christian Kirk is on the bench.
Yeah, that they did a lot of 12 last week.
So. Christian Kirk's looking like he's going to be a cap casualty after this year. I think he signed a 3-year deal for
4 years, $80 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Had that.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't know how much was guaranteed.
He was worth it last year, but he was the guy last year.
Yeah.
They didn't but they brought in Ridley and I'll eat crow. I didn't think Ridley was going to do as well as he did. Now, granted, it's just one game.
Yep.
But good.
Still, he looked damn good, and he was heavily targeted in the first half. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was looking his way. It seemed like constantly. I think he had either 7 targets in the first half and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I could see this being a if Kelce plays, I could see it being a little bit of a shootout, maybe a mini shootout. I think it could go over if Kelce plays.
I think so too. If he doesn't, if Kelsey doesn't play, I think there's a good chance the Chiefs start out 0-2.
Yeah,
I
They
think
will.
so too.
they,
I think even if he does play, they could start out 0-2 because I think the Jags are pretty good, especially this game being at home for Jacksonville.
Yeah,
I really
it's the
think
biggest game they played in a
right,
while.
Mhm.
right. I really think that Rashee Rice and Sky Moore could get their shit together. Well, I mean, Rice did look good, but Tony looked just horrible. That could surprise you. We'll see.
Yeah.
Pacheco's probably going to see some more targets too, especially if Kelsey doesn't play. I liked it. It was encouraging that he caught some balls last week and stuff. He's even more valuable.
Surprising too, the number of
But-
targets he got.
Yeah, but I'll have that game up on the TV as well.
I'm surprised it's a 1:00 game.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because it's in Jacksonville. I imagine
Yeah.
if it was in KC, it would be a 4:25 kick.
Yeah.
It'll be up on laptop number 2 then or something because I'll have like Red Zone, Lions, and then that. But
Red tube.
yeah, we got time for Jets at Dallas.
Yeah.
I know we did. I think we talked about the -9 there. You threw that bet out, or would you rather to Ramey earlier? Total points is 38. I can't think of a worse first game for Zach Wilson against these guys. I mean, poor fucker. I mean, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence are gonna fucking eat him for dinner. Their offensive line is shaky, and
Yes, it's not going to be good.
no, the Cowboys got some people out there. Tyler Smith, the tackle's out. Safety Donovan Wilson's out, and Cooks is or not out. I should say they're all questionable. Cooks is questionable. It's going to be ugly. I don't see Garrett Wilson. This is not a Garrett Wilson game. They're going to try and run the ball and keep. They got to try. I would say they try and run the ball and keep the ball out of the offenses or Dallas's offensive hand, but that defense is just sick.
Yeah.
The Giants were having some success last week running.
That's true.
I think Brees Hall could have a sneaky good game too, because he had 127 yards on 10 carries against the Bills, and the Bills defense is no slouch. So I think that Cook will get the bulk of the carries, but I think that Brees's explosivity could allow him to kind of have a breakout game, because if there is a weakness to that Cowboys defense, and it's a great defense, it's that run defense versus the pass. So I could kind of see Brees Hall having a sneaky good game. Plus, they're going to run the hell out of the ball because Zach Wilson's not going to throw it 30 times.
No, you don't want him throwing it anywhere near 30 times. I think I mentioned on Tuesday, I imagine that the distribution of touches in the backfield is going to remain roughly the same, at least for the next several weeks, with Dalvin Cook getting 50 to 60% and Brees Hall somewhere, the 40 to 45%. I think Brees Hall will continue to be more efficient with his touches. And it almost reminds me of the situation they had last year in Dallas, or over the past couple of years with Dallas, with Zeke and Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was known for his efficiency with his, they'd give him 12, 13 carries and he'd turn that into 80 yards.
Yeah. It's going to be, not going to watch that.
Like we said in the open, I think I'd as comfortably as you can take a 9-point spread. I think I'd take the Cowboys -9, but I'd definitely look at that under, because I see it being like a 24-6 kind of game.
Same.
I think Zerline's going to get his block. Oh no, who's kicking in New York? Zerline.
Yeah, Zerline's kicker for the Jets.
Get you a couple points.
Yeah, I would fade any offensive. Well, maybe Brees, but yeah, I'd fade any other offensive player for the Jets, any skill position player.
I've seen some people say that Brees Hall is a running back one from here on out. Do you guys agree with that?
Not after a week.
No. My thought on that backfield is Cook is Mark Ingram, and Brees Hall is Alvin Kamara. That's how I kind of look at that.
I'd like to reserve my judgment for a couple more weeks. I want to see how that knee holds up after some wear and tear. I was surprised he looked as good as he did on Monday night. Coming off that ACL, usually it takes a year, and we in our fantasy previews, I think we talked about that. So really surprised how good he looked. I don't know that I'd put him in at a running at RB1 though. Moving
See,
forward,
here's the thing. Like, you got to remember, though, we're sports media, so we have to have takes after the first week that we are 100% confidently incorrect in, and we're projecting out for the rest of the year.
Right.
Yeah. I think he's a comeback player of the year candidate, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I think so, too.
Absolutely.
Dark horse MVP.
Hey, hot take central right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. If I have to yeah, it is too. You just have to have a hot take, and it doesn't matter.
You just have to be confident with it.
Yeah.
It's more important to be first than correct.
Well, I'm going to use some measured deceit and just, say what I want to fucking say.
That's true. We can always edit the footage later. If this
Right.
podcast is just filled with incorrect information, we'll just delete this episode and say, sorry, Kyle was sick. Some leftovers from the other day at work. He was still leaking.
Aces time, Deuces time. Are we up for that, or?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Let's start
Let's
out
do
with let's get our aces going. Kyle, you want to
Sure.
get rolling for us?
Yeah, why not? My aces of the week. First one, running back David Montgomery from the Lions. I think he's just going to eat this week. He had, what did he have? 17, 18 carries last week? Did he hit 20? Yeah, something.
No,
like
he
that.
had 17 for, I want to say 83.
Right.
Wasn't real efficient, but he found the end zone and he'll get the bulk of the work.
Right. Last year, the Seahawks gave up the 6th most points to fantasy running backs. Detroit's offensive line has a huge advantage over Seattle's defensive line. I don't think it's even close there. The Lions are the clear favorites. I think they're going to be running the ball. And, yeah, I mean, Seattle did do a good job shutting down the Rams' run game.
Cam Akers.
Yeah, he was just disgusting. I'll talk about him in a second. But the Rams have a bottom 5 offensive line easy, and the Lions are a top 3 offensive line, in my opinion. But David Montgomery, start him, definitely. The other one, James Cook, running back from the Bills. He saw an increased role last week, played a career high 41 snaps. Unfortunately, the Bills weren't playing so well, so they didn't run so much. But he looked good. He's not going to be a fantasy starter every week. He's going to be kind of matchup dependent. But I like them this week. Again, they're clear favorites over the Raiders. Yeah, start him. I like him. Yep. Ramey, your aces, buddy?
My aces are T. Higgins of the Cincinnati Bengals and Tyler Algier of the Atlanta Falcons. T. Higgins had 8 targets from Burrow last week and did not have a catch. So I think he's going to have a bounce back game. Ed Reed's not walking through that door for the Ravens. They've got a solid secondary, but their defense isn't what it used to be. So I look for a big bounce back game from the Bengals, and I think T. Higgins will benefit from that. I could see him having 6 or 7 catches and a touchdown. So I think Chase will eat too. So, but I look for T. Higgins to have a bounce back game. And then Arthur Smith loves to run the ball, and that's all he loves to do. And when you have Desmond Ridder as your quarterback, it might be the best decision just to run the hell out of the ball. So the Packers defense, or run defense specifically, is nothing to write home about. So I think Algier will continue his week 1 success into week 2. Probably not as successful as he was in week 1 because he lit up the scoreboard in week 1. But I look for him to have a really good game again, kind of being the co RB1 with Bijan. So they had different skill sets, and you want to keep Bijan fresh for later in the year. So I think Algier will have a nice game.
Nice. I like
Matt.
those.
Thank you.
All right, my aces. our Lions wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is Jared Goff's favorite target. That man is going to get peppered with targets, and he's so damn quick and so effective. He creates elite separation. You can't guard him.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Kyle's having problems.
Did he cough too hard?
His fanny's leaking. I'm looking for quite a few points to be scored in that game, and the way Detroit is going to get to the number that I think they're going to get to is a heavy dose of the running game, but also through Amon-Ra St. Brown. My second ace of the week, Ramondre Stevenson from the Patriots. The Dolphins got absolutely gouged last week on the ground to the tune of 200 and some odd yards. I don't remember the number. I just remember it was a shit ton. While I don't think they're going to perform that poorly again this week, Ramondre Stevenson proved last season he's a very talented back that can handle a good size workload, and he gets a good deal of the receiving work as well. I'm looking for him to push for 100 total yards and a touchdown. Wouldn't be surprised if he scored twice. He's the dude that he's the straw that stirs the drink there, if I could borrow that phrase. Why don't we go to the other side of that coin, and we'll hit up our deuces of the week. Kyle, who do you think is gonna shit the bed? And you are on mute.
Yep.
I am, because I went and got a bottle of water. Yeah. Deuces of the week, I should say. Cam Akers, running back for the Rams. He had accomplished a rare feat last week by having 20 carries and finishing top. He was out of the top 30 in fantasy running backs. That's just disgusting. I think he only had 29 yards. Kyron Williams was given more playing time. He was more effective than Cam Akers. And the 49ers, that's a tough matchup. They gave the fewest points to running backs last season. He's a don't start, in my opinion. I guess if you don't have anybody better, but I'd rather pick somebody else up. It's going to be ugly. Christian Kirk, Jaguars wide receiver. Man, he was so good last year. He was pretty much their number one, and they traded for Calvin Ridley, and Zay Jones, the rookie, looked great last week. Kirk had 3 targets, 1 reception for 9 yards. It was bad. He plays the slot more than anything. It'll probably be a long day for him too. Trent McDuffie's there and probably going to be on coverage against him. He's a lot of time their nickel. He's the second best grade of any defender through so far this season and last season in coverage grade. So Christian Kirk, keep him on the bench. Might be a time for him if there's some injuries there, but he's not the number one guy there this year. And he's making tons of money like a number one, but no thank you.
Good for him.
Ramster.
My deuces are Dak Prescott and Terry McLaurin. Dak didn't look great against the Giants on Sunday night. Granted, the weather was terrible and he didn't really have to do anything because of that Cowboys defense. Outside of the weather, I think it's going to be pretty much a lot of the same. I think that Cowboys defense is going to shut down the Jets. I think Zach Wilson is going to shut down the Jets offense. Dak really won't have to do much. Mike McCarthy wants to run the ball and keep the short passing game going, kind of the West Coast style. This is not the week against the Jets defense to start Dak Prescott. So for that reason, I think he's a deuce this week. Terry McLaurin, I feel bad for old Terry. I feel like we're going to sit back someday and say, man, if he had a quarterback, wonder what his career could have looked like. So Sam Howell just against even the Cardinals in week 1 didn't look great. And going out to Denver this weekend, Pat Surtain is not going to be a much easier matchup for old Terry. So I don't look for Terry to get off the schneid this week. I think for that reason, I think you sit him. And I think there's an opportunity for him later in the season against the right matchups, but this week is not the week.
Nice. Can't say I disagree with either one. As a matter of fact, I've got a teammate of one of yours in my deuces. This week, I've got Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson. We touched on it earlier. With Zach Wilson at quarterback going forward, Garrett Wilson is a mid to low end wide receiver too. That doesn't mean that you want to bench him every week, but this week, I can't imagine you have better options, but I'm not really rolling him out there with any degree of confidence. Maybe he gets lucky and scores a touchdown. I think if you can get 10 points and a PPR out of him, you're feeling damn good.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not feeling great about rolling him out there going forward until the Jets do something at quarterback. And on the other side of that game, Cowboys running back Tony Pollard. The Jets defense is legit. There's not going to be a lot of points scored in this game. You know, he might get a good amount of touches, but would any of us be shocked if he had 19 carries for 45 yards?
Nope.
No, sir.
You know,
No.
and again, you're hoping that he can get some goal line touches or something like that. Just find a way to fall in the end zone. Or, you know, this might be a 10-point week for Tony Pollard. And considering where you drafted him, you want a better return than that. Now, obviously, they're not going to be playing a defense like the Jets defense every week, but for this week, it's going to be rough. I'm not starting anybody in that game with any kind of confidence unless I have the Cowboys defense.
Or Micah Parsons in IDP. Maybe start him.
Yeah.
If you're in that league. Awesome.
I like those. I like those boys. Good picks.
Yeah, excellent.
Now
Locks.
it's our locks of the week. Kyle, why don't you start us out
Sweet.
there?
All right. Well, I got a ballsy one this week, so we'll see how it goes. I'll take the Tampa Bay -3 at home against the Chicago Bears. Tampa Bay covers the spread over 50% of the time at home. They looked good there against the Vikings last week. Bears didn't look good at home against the Packers. Again, week one. We got a very, very small sample size here. But I like that bet. I got it going on too. I mean, I actually did bet that. So put my money where my mouth is.
Nice.
I wish you the best of luck with that.
Yeah.
Hey, I know. We'll see. I can't wait to next week either say, see, I told you fuckers, you should listen to me. Or, you know, like I said, I'm trying to mix it up here a little, get a little bit riskier.
Hey,
with,
Yeah, it's going to be either I told you you should have listened to me, or I told you you shouldn't listen to me.
Well, we will see what that ends up being. But Ramey, what you got for a bet lock of the week?
My lock is Chiefs Jags over 51. I think Kelsey will play. I don't think he'll play a whole lot, but to Matt's point earlier, if he plays 35 snaps, he's going to get a good amount of targets in that short amount of time. So the Jags defense is okay. Chris Jones is back, but he's not full strength or ready for game shape, so he'll play limited as well. That Jaguars offense looked potent against the Colts. Colts defense isn't anything to write home about, but I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. I think I could see it being like a 31-28 kind of game. So for that reason, my lock is Chiefs Jags over 51.
I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
Because that's a game that could have some pretty big implications come January and playoff seeding.
Yeah.
That's true.
And especially considering the Chiefs don't want to go 0-2 and have a head-to-head loss against the Jags when that's could be the determining factor
because
for
they'd essentially be 3 games back.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Matt,
my lock of the week.
Ooh.
Seahawks at Lions over 47 points. They put up damn near 100 last year, and while the Lions defense has improved from last year to this year, both of these teams can still score. I don't think Seattle is as bad as what they looked last week, and we know how Goff operates the Lions offense, especially when he's in a dome or at home. That stadium is going to be rocking as the Lions are looking to go 2-0 this year. look, the loss to the Seahawks last year kept Detroit out of the playoffs. They lost the head-to-head tiebreaker. This year we're going to get it, but it's not going to even be a big deal. You know why? Because Detroit is going to win the NFC North.
Yeah.
But regardless,
Go
there's going to
Lions.
be some points put up. Detroit's defense is better. It's still not any kind of defense to be feared. I think they're going to be able to generate a pretty good pass rush, though. Still, again, there's going to be some points put on the board. It'll be an entertaining game to watch. If you whatever fantasy people you have in that game, start them with confidence.
Yeah, agreed.
Even
Man,
Gino.
If there's just not much going on in college football this weekend, except for
No.
Colorado State at Colorado Saturday night at midnight or whatever time it comes on, 10. I mean, Washington comes to East Lansing and they're going to trounce the fuck out of the Spartans. That program and football sports department is just
the rudderless ship.
shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing there, man? Like you don't learn your lesson over this Nasser shit from years ago, and now you got Mel Tugger, just Tugger, Gger.
Yep. We heard you trying to get us sued.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Well, he allegedly did some stuff, and it has admitted to some of that stuff, and he says it was consensual. She said geez, what a mess. Jeez.
Allegedly a mess.
Yeah.
Allegedly a mess.
Michigan State sucks, but yeah, there's no top 10 matchup.
There's
no
not
top
even
25.
a top 25 matchup.
I guess you're right. There's not. It's ugly. So I haven't watched Colorado yet other than some clips, so I will watch that game Saturday night and check it out. But
I'll be watching Michigan Saturday night.
Michigan's on at 7 or something, aren't they?
7:30, I think.
That game will be over by the end of the third quarter anyway. Or before.
Yeah.
I think they're
we can spend a good portion of the podcast next week talking about your guys' two favorite teams, Notre Dame and Ohio State.
Can't wait to talk
shit
about two teams that
big matchup next week.
Yes.
Sure will.
Provided Ohio State gets past the Hilltoppers and Notre Dame gets past the Chippewas.
Yep. Check out this weekend, Sunday morning. We'll have a couple or a few 4-pillar shorts coming out on our channel on YouTube. So we can kind of pick your 4 core for your DFS lineups for football. Check them out. There's going to be some good stuff on there.
Yeah.
Plus the pillars look really cool.
Yeah,
they do.
Matt like those. So that's
very distinguished.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very pillar-like.
It's very biblical in the background too. But yeah, we'll give you some help for your DFS lineups, and once again, I will win again this week in our weekly matchup of DFS.
We'll see.
Yeah,
maybe we'll change the name from the 4 pillars to our 4 fantasy horsemen.
All right, nice, sweet, loving it.
All right. Well, that's another one in the books, I believe.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next Tuesday again, same time, 7:00 live on our YouTube channel. Stoned on Sports Podcast. Nice.
All right. See everyone. I wish I knew how to make the music.
We're using a new streaming service, folks. So we're getting used to all the controls and the extra things on this that we didn't have before, and so we'll add some extra production value on here soon once we figure it out.
Yes.
So have a good night, folks. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.